It's okay, it takes time.
Welcome back to Strong, everybody. I'm so excited to have another amazing guest with us. Today we speak with Luca. We're zooming all the way to my home country, Canada, and actually my home city, Montreal. Welcome, Luca. Welcome to Strong.
What's up? How's it going, Maria?
I'm so excited to meet you. I remember when I came across your profile the first time. I found you on Instagram, and the reason I was searching for profiles very similar to yours was because I heard about a young girl from Montreal who was struggling with a physical disability, and she was feeling very, very alone. And I came across your profile, and you were just so inspiring. Your Instagram profile just blew me away. I thought, who is this person? I need to learn more. I want to learn more. And the more I dug, the more I saw who you were and what you were doing. I thought, this is definitely somebody that I believe young people all over the world should come across and have an opportunity to learn more. So I'm so excited to be able to have this
Thank you.
conversation with you. Thank you so much. So I want to jump right into your name, Lazy Legs. What does that mean, and where did it all start? When did you start calling yourself Lazy Legs?
So in breaking, it's very common for dancers to have like nicknames. And so when I first started dancing, I started when I was 15 years old and I was in high school. I was dancing with a group of seniors in high school and I was a freshman. And like I felt really cool just being around the older kids and everything, like being like a young guy and like kind of following the older guys. And they were respecting me for the moves that I was like creating. And in the dance scene, there's a very famous dancer named Crazy Legs. So back in the 1980s, when breakdancing was becoming more and more popular, so uh, there's this guy from the Rocksteady crew named Crazy Legs, and he was like known around the world for his moves and for his personality. And one of the seniors in high school, his name was Davis, and one day after we were practicing after lunch, he's like, Luca, I've got the perfect name for you. And I was like, what's that? And he's like, Lazy Legs. And I'm like, cool, I like that. Yeah. And I find that it's a good homage to Crazy Legs, but also it's a nice description of my personality. So when people get to know me, like they recognize that I'm not lazy at all. Like I'm like the opposite of lazy. Like I'm a workhorse. I work a lot and maybe a little too much. And I do a lot of different things, but by calling myself Lazy Legs, it also shows the public or people that I have an open sense of humor. That like I don't look at my legs and look at it as like a negative. It's like, yeah, I have two lazy legs, so what? So and kind of like let's just kind of like I kind of I play with it, and it shows within my dance style too. Because when you see me dancing, my legs are dragging, or like my style consists of like a stronger upper body and my crutches when I'm moving around, and so my legs are floating, so it kind of does look like I have lazy legs when I'm dancing.
So I think it's important that we bring into context what we're talking about, which we haven't yet. So for anyone tuning in right now, I know, Luca, that you were born with arthrogryposis, which is a neuromuscular disorder that affects the bones and joints. And that would be why you're describing your legs as lazy. And it's so incredible to see that you're dancing, and you're not just dancing, you're break dancing. And anyone that doesn't know what break dancing is, pause this video and go Google break dancing. Luca, I know that you were born with this, but where in your upbringing did you believe that you were going to overcome this? I know that you have this motto of no excuses and no limits, and I imagine that's the adult version of Luca. Were you always this positive, and were you always this no limits, I'm going to do this whatever, and I'm going to break dance? Or did it come along at a certain time in your life?
I think it's come in waves. So I definitely believe that I had it in me from a very young age, and definitely the influence and support that my family and my close friends, like the community that I had back home in the DC area where I was growing up, that definitely helps, like, give me that no limits mentality. Like, just to give you an example, my parents, any activity that they wanted to do, like when they wanted to go skiing or when they went swimming or going for long walks, it was never like, oh, how are we going to take Luca because of his disability? It was more like, cool, let's just figure it out. I was 3 years old when I first started skiing, and I was skiing on regular skis. This was before we discovered adapted skiing, and my parents just literally slapped a pair of ski boots and skis on me, and they kind of pushed me down the hill, and we figured it out along the way, and I figured out that I could sit on the back of my skis, and I was kind of like sledding and like creating my own way of skiing. um, it's always kind of been like that for me. My friends, growing up in my neighborhood, like they had just started. Some of them were rollerblading, some of them were skateboarding. So for my birthday that summer, I was like, oh, I want a skateboard, and my parents weren't like, oh, well, a skateboard's dangerous, or how are you going to do it? It was more like, here's a skateboard, figure it out. And I started skateboarding on my knees, and I was like paddling along with my hand, and I was grabbing the side of the board, and I was doing like ollies and 50-50s and board slides, and I was doing the same things my friends were doing, but I was just doing it differently. I was doing it on my knees. And I was always just keeping myself active. I was part of a swim team for my neighborhood and for my high school. Any activity my friends were doing, I would always just participate with them. And often whenever people are around me, they often say, oh, I forget about your disability. Like, sometimes like I'll get out of the car and I'll be like, hey, can you pass me my crutches? And people are like, oh crap, I forgot, like, and I think that that's always been around me. But it does come in waves, like there are moments that in my own life that, like in my teens, like when my friends started dating girls, I started recognizing that I had a difference. I was like, oh, are my crutches going to stop me from dating? Like, is my disability going to stop me? And I think what helped give me that confidence was dancing. And the minute I discovered dancing and how to dance, I kind of like embraced my disability and my difference, and said, okay, well, these are my crutches, and let me see how best I can use them. And even though I can't do certain things that other people can't do, I can do things my own way. And I've carried that along with me. But like I said too, it does come in waves. When the birth of my first daughter, 5 years ago, when she was born, like I had a lot of difficulty adjusting to fatherhood, because there were certain things physically I couldn't do. Like I couldn't carry my daughter in my arms because I had my hands on my crutches. So like those are things that like I recognized at that moment. And my disability, I did feel like it was stopping me, but I reminded myself, and I had my wife and some close friends that were reminding me, it's like, you can adapt, and like, just do it your way. You don't have to worry about like carrying your daughter walking. You can slide on your butt. And so I was sliding on my butt carrying my daughter. And so like these were all things that help me in little tricks, and whenever there's moments where I feel stuck or when I feel like I can't do something, I really try to take that step back, and I take that deep breath, and I ask myself, if it's something that I really want, then I'll just figure out how to do it my way. And if it's something that I don't want, then I kind of just push it to the side and keep on moving forward.
How did the other children, how did the other kids at school react to you as you were going through those different stages at school?
I'd say like 95% of the people in school were always like supportive of me. Like, I don't think I was the most popular kid in school, but I was like, I think I was the kid that like everyone knew, like obviously because of the disability, because I stood out and everything. But people, you know, when I needed help, people were there to help me. Like growing up, I had a total of 16 surgeries. And so when I was in surgery, like when I was recovering from surgery, I would stay home for like a month or 2 months, and I would get homeschooled, and then I'd go back to school. So people recognized that I was out of school for like a long period of time. And so when I came back, people were like there, like they would see me in the beginning of the year using crutches. And then when I was recovering from surgery, I was using a wheelchair or a walker. Um, and so they would recognize that difference, and they were there to help and support. Um, I did have moments where there were certain people that bullied me growing up, but I think what really helped me was that I had a strong enough support system. Like I had like two best friends that were very close to me, that anytime something negative happened, they were either they were really aware and they just kind of like found ways to get me to change subjects and kind of move on, or it was we were kind of naive about it and didn't recognize like the bullying to the effect that it was, where we ignored it. So like it was kind of like a balance of both. Just to give you an example, when growing up, like I used wheelchairs recovering from surgery, but the minute that I didn't need the wheelchair, I did everything possible to make sure that to avoid using a wheelchair. And so one of my things that I would do is that I would have a bicycle with training wheels, and I would use that to get myself around my town. And I would literally go into stores with a bicycle, and it was a bicycle with training wheels. My friends were carrying my crutches. When we were going up hills, I didn't have the strength in my legs to push. My friends were there to help me and push me up the hill. And when I was going down hills, I was able to go down on my own and all of that stuff. And in the town that I grew up, majority of the people knew me, so that I would be able to get away with going into stores or doing certain things on my bike. But being a teenager, like 15, 16, 17-year-old kid on a bike with training wheels, like we were getting teased. Like people like would drive by and laugh, or there would be even like kids that were younger than us being like, what's that big kid doing on training wheels, and like I was recognizing that, and it was like bothering me. And sometimes my friends would be like there to kind of defend me, or like we would flip it and be like, this is my bike, no one else has that bike. So even if there's training wheels, it's like, yeah, I'm a 16-year-old kid on a bike with training wheels, but you don't have training wheels. Like in a certain way, we were trying to like make it look like it was like a transformer or something like that. So that helped me look at things in a positive way, the most possible way. And for example, when I was using a wheelchair, I remember specifically there was when I was recovering from surgery, I was still getting homeschooled, but it was like there was like a spring dance at school, and like my friends wanted me to go, and I know I really didn't want to go with my wheelchair because I had like too much pride, and I was like shy to show everyone that I was on a wheelchair at the time. And we actually went to like a specialty like art store, and we got like gold foil, and we put gold foil on the rims of my wheelchair, and like we dressed up like hip hop artists, and like because at the time that was like something that was cool, and then so we transformed my wheelchair into like a pimp my ride, and I had a little boom box, and we went there, and that was when I was first starting to break also. So like I went into the cypher with my wheelchair, and like I was dancing, and we just made it look cool. And I think, yeah, like the support that I had, my friends were always there for me, and that's one of the things that I would say that is the reason why I am who I am today.
It's just sounds so incredible. And sometimes my biggest concern for the youth is that people who have overcome the greatest challenges, when they're telling their stories like you are right now, it just sounds seamlessly easy. It sounds like it's like watching a movie and there's always a happily ever after. So take us to the darker days, those days where I remember you just said that it kind of goes in waves, right? So take us to those days that you wake up and you think, or when you were younger, you would wake up and think, oh, I don't know if I can do today. Because I don't want that your strength of character and this positive mindset become the thing that young people look at and say, well, if he's always like that, there's something wrong with me. And I think sometimes the youth assume that every day is that great day. And it's important that they understand that it's not every day. There are waves, like you described. What are those days like when you're not as chirpy, when you're not as positive, when you're not as optimistic?
I mean, I would say, like, to be honest, it's that too. It comes in waves in the day, you know. Like, I could wake up in this super good mood, and then something could trigger me, and I could be like, "Wow, this sucks. I really don't. I want the day to end." And you know, and it happens within 1 week. I think it happens like every single day. But like, if I can, I guess say like more of a darker moment, more like in my teen years, I remember specifically again like when it came to finding a partner, you know, like finding a boyfriend or girlfriend, or you know, even making friends like with like the popular kids, um, or also like something that happened, you know, and it happens naturally is like the transition between like middle school to high school. Like the group of friends you had in middle school end up kind of filtering away, and you either have a new group of friends, or like the old friends you had like start disappearing and they start making new friends. And so like those were moments that I'd say that like in my teen years I had a lot of difficulty with, because I was also going through surgeries. And so um, one of the things that I would say is that I I questioned a lot, uh, everything, you know, everything that was going on, like asking why do these surgeries have to happen to me, like what is going on, like, you know, I share this now in a positive way, but back then I didn't think this, is that if there was like a magic surgery there, I could just have one surgery and I could just walk and be like normal. You know, back then I was thinking that I was like praying for that every single day. You know, I was like, I just want to like fix this, and I want to be able to run, and I want to be able to, you know, like have a normal life. But today, with everything that I've experienced, I don't think I would ever take that surgery, because I am who I am because of everything that I went through. And you know, there was moments even growing up with like tension within the household. You know, my parents, like certain decisions, like I had a scoliosis surgery, where scoliosis is basically when your back is curved like an S. And for a long portion of my teen years, my scoliosis was pretty stable. And literally, like within a 6 month period, when I was 13 years old, there was a moment where like my angle went from 30 degrees to 70 degrees overnight. And that like created like a huge cause for concern. And the doctors were like, the surgery needs to be done like sooner than later. It was something that we were pushing away for a long period of time. And it was something that like my parents fought about like, a lot, you know, and I was putting that blame on me. You know, it's like my parents are fighting because they have to make a very serious decision. And we were living in the US at the time. And so the cost of that surgery in terms of insurance, you know, like it was like a big deal. Like it was financially, it was something that like we weren't sure if we could like afford it. Like it's like kind of, yeah, we could afford it, but it was more like we had to make like compromises that affected the whole family. And like my my mom was super against the surgery, because it was kind of one of those like life at the time, it was one of those life threatening surgeries, because it was more like if the doctor makes one mistake, it could either paralyze me or kill me. And then my father was a little bit more aggressive. He's like, no, let's do it. And at the end of the day, my parents actually gave me that choice. They said, Luca, what do you want to do? And so I decided to do that surgery. And in that surgery, I actually ended up having a seizure. And like my heart stopped for a period of time. And my parents like freaked out, and they had a huge fight. And like, so like recovering from that surgery was like very difficult, because there was tension in the household, and it was like a really, really hard period of time. Um, but I think to go back to some of your questions, what really helped me was that support that I had, you know? So like my two best friends that lived in my neighborhood, my older brother Stefano, when they recognized that I was suffering and when they recognized that I was struggling with something, they were kind of always there for me. And if there were ever moments that they weren't there for me, um, I found ways to either like draw or write, or once I started dancing, it was really just putting music on and dancing. And those were things that would help me clear my mind to try to remain positive. And one of the things that I recognized growing up is I think going through everything that I went through as a kid, I matured in a specific way. So compared to some of my friends that were my age, I was more mature in certain things, and I was very observant, and I was looking at everything around me and recognizing to not take things for granted. But I was also very immature in other social ways because I was missing out on social certain experiences because I was recovering from surgery and I wasn't around my friends. So there was things that I didn't understand, you know, in terms of like how to communicate with people or like expectations, you know, because also too when you are going through surgeries, like there is that aspect where people around you are there to help you and support you. And so when you're not recovering from surgery, you kind of feel like when you don't have that support, like you kind of end up being like a little lost, you know, like you kind of expect things uh, because you were so used to literally having like your food brought to you like every time, or like everything being done for you because you're recovering. So I think that was one of the transit that the things that was hard for me was that transition of, okay, well, I'm with my friends. My friends aren't going to do the same thing that my parents are doing. So I can't expect my friends to do that. And so like I had to learn how to mature around my friends in a specific way, or how to act around my friends in a specific way. So yeah, I don't know if that helps answer your question a bit, but
What I'm hearing from you is it's just incredible. I see in front of me a man who makes every other problem that I have thought I have had in my life just seem minuscule to the challenges that you must have been facing in your life. Has anyone ever asked you what the biggest challenge has been in your life, Luca?
I mean, I think now the challenge of being a father and just like that's definitely the biggest challenge. And I think parents, you know, whether you're disabled or not, like parents have that challenge because all they want is the best for their children and all of that. So I would definitely say that that's definitely the biggest challenge, especially right now. Um, you know, and my daughter Luna, for example. So I have two daughters. I have a 5-year-old daughter named Aura and an 8-month-old daughter named Luna. And Luna actually has the same condition I do. And so she was born on March 18th. So when the whole confinement thing happened, uh, we were literally at the hospital, and they shut everything down. And I was fortunate to be in the delivery room with Melissa because the following day they said that partners can't come. That it's only one person that can deliver their child, and they told me, they said if I leave the hospital I can't come back in. And we had my parents watching Aura during those couple of days, and I had to go back home to make sure that I could take care of Aura. But Luna had to get casted for her club feet within her second day of birth, and um, already at 8 months, she's already had two surgeries. She's been hospitalized 3 different times because of um, we discovered a food allergy, and so having to go through that with the confinement. And the minute we were also told from the hospital, because we are going to the hospital on a weekly basis, and it's been 8 months that every week we're going for different appointments, we're considered to be at risk. So my parents and Melissa's parents and like my brother and just like close family and friends, like we haven't had that typical support or help that you would have. Obviously, there's other families that are going through the same thing, that just had their child being born. So I think that right now we're currently living one of the most challenging moments, because we're trying to figure out how to navigate with our new daughter who has the same disability, as well as having to restructure like business. Like during that time, I lost all my contracts, performance contracts, touring. We were supposed to be in Tokyo for the Paralympic Games. We're supposed to be in Dubai for the Expo 2020. Everything got canceled, and I know that it affects every single artist and every single like event organizer and technician, and so it's something that like I think what helped me recognize that and try to turn this whole situation into a positive is understanding that we're all going through something right now. And I think that rather than dwelling and being like negative on this whole situation, is trying to really try to figure out like the best situation. And the way that I look at everything right now is that even though I lost all my contracts, I'm actually here at home where I can learn to adapt and adjust myself with Luna and Aura and Melissa in our home, that we can like be together. And I feel very fortunate about that. The fact that I lost all my contracts too, it kind of gave me that opportunity to refocus on things that I want to do. And like, instead of accepting every single contract that comes in, kind of being like, well, is this something that I really want now? And and I think it's helped create that balance. And I look at that as a positive. And I think that I recognize that any challenge that comes our way now is that it's not like, oh crap, I can't do this. It's more like, okay, let me figure out how I can do this. And if I know I can't do this, to not be afraid to ask for help.
You're incredible. I need to take a minute. You're incredible. Talk to us about the disability for anyone that has never come across what you're going through and what Luna's going through. Describe to us what it is as a physical disability.
So arthrogryposis is a neuromuscular and musculoskeletal disorder. It's pretty much like a birth defect. And the reason why growing up we were told that it wasn't genetic is because anyone that is affected with arthrogryposis, it literally can affect them in any part of their body. So when I was growing up 36 years ago, there wasn't the same research and knowledge on what arthrogryposis was. So the doctors were kind of like, a lot of the surgeries that I was having were trial and error. And it was more like, okay, let's see if this is what it is, and let's see if it works. And some of the surgeries worked and some of the surgeries didn't work. But for me specifically, it's a bone and joint disorder. So basically, my knees were born very, very stiff. So I can't, well, I can now because of the surgery, but growing up for a long period of time, I wasn't able to extend my leg. So I could bend my leg, but I couldn't extend it more than 90 degrees. I also had pretty severe club feet, and club feet is basically when your feet are either turned in or turned out on the other side. And so for a long period of time, I was using leg braces. I still use leg braces, but I had special leg braces where my knees would lock. I had like special joints that were keeping my legs straight or as straight as possible. And then I was literally walking on the side of my heel, and I had the special braces I had to kind of like it kept my foot like this, but it was I was walking like this. Um, so it, because of the disorder, with my knees being bent for a large portion of my life, my muscles never really got to fully grow in my legs. So I have very, very weak muscles. Like I can hold myself up right now at 36 years old, but when I was 15 years old, if I tried to stand up without my leg braces or without like assistance, like I literally would just kind of like collapse. And now I do a lot of exercise, like through dance, biking, and I do a lot of stuff. And the reality is that I probably will never be able to fully grow a muscle like the average person to be able to walk on a day-to-day basis. But the positive thing is that because I have a joint disorder, if I don't move, then my legs and my body just become stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. So I keep myself active to try to make sure that I can uh, continue to move around and not be in pain. Um, I don't have like chronic pain with my disorder or with my disability. I would say it like a lot of the pain that I get is more like joint pain. So the best way that I can describe it for anyone that's ever broken their a bone in their body, um, if you recognize that when it's humid outside, so like before it starts raining, like you can feel a little bit of like pulsating pain, like on that fracture or wherever you broke your bone. It's like I get that like, and it affects like all my joints whenever it's humid. Like I can feel that. And then if I don't stay active, again, my whole body just kind of like stiffens, and it takes me longer to try to open up my body than if I just did a little bit of exercise every day. So instead of doing like 1 hour at the gym or 2 hours at the gym, like 3 times a week, I just do like literally like 10 to 15 minute workouts every single day. And that just helps keep me like moving around and opens up my body.
So did you know that Luna was going to be born with this, or did you not know and you only found out when she was born?
We knew like 2 or 3 months before she was born. The doctors in the ultrasound saw they saw the club foot, and so basically Luna's foot, so it was literally like wrapped upside down. And they said, okay, well, we think it's just club foot, but because you have arthrogryposis, we think that she might have this. We can't tell right now, and like they pretty much confirmed it. Like we assumed it, that that's what it was coming for, that it was going to happen, and they confirmed it once she was born. There was also Luna was born 1 month prematurely, so there was like for her, it actually, I'd say, um, her arthrogryposis is very similar to mine, but she also had some other challenges that came along the way. So she has like something called stridor. So basically, her larynx weren't developed properly. So like for her breathing, she has like a very like loud sound, and she's also allergic to milk. So we had a little bit of we spent the first 3 months trying to figure out how to feed her because Melissa at the time was breastfeeding her, and she was rejecting the milk, and so she wasn't gaining weight in the proper way. Um, so we didn't know all of these challenges were going to come with it. But what we did do was before Luna was born, we made sure to try to assemble like a strong medical team. So we went to like the Shriners Hospital, we went to Saint Justine, and we met with the doctors before Luna was born to make sure that we would be like on the list, and to make sure that we can like expedite anything that needs to be done, and not have to wait, because we were worried that if we didn't do that and we didn't introduce ourselves beforehand, then we would just be like on the waiting list, and like in order for Luna to get her cast, they would have been like maybe waited like a week or 2 weeks after she was born instead of doing it immediately. And it's better to do it immediately because the bones still haven't fused. So once you do it, like the sooner you do it, the better it is. And so that was one of the things that we did, like knowing ahead of time that Luna was gonna possibly have arthrogryposis.
So I know that you're committed to mentorship. I know that you mentor others. And now with Luna and with Aura, although Aura doesn't have arthrogryposis, she will be growing up with her sister and being her protector. I mean, I think it's a natural thing that she'll just want to protect her. Do you now feel that your mentorship has become even more personal because you have a little girl that is also going to be facing the challenges that you faced and with some added health challenges that you've already noticed?
Yeah, I mean, I think I heard this quote in a documentary the other day, and I like it, and like I don't remember the name of the person that said this, but he said the day my child was born was when they gave birth to a father.
Hmm.
And I really appreciate that because I feel learning experience on both ends. And as much as I want to be there to teach and mentor Aura and Luna, they're teaching me and mentoring me at the same time. And I think that for Luna's sake specifically, but I'm like this with Aura too. So it's not I don't want to separate them, but I think for for both of the girls, my ultimate goal is that I can give myself and Melissa, that we can give them enough um, confidence within themselves to push themselves to do whatever it is that they want to do. And that's I think our work as parents, and what we're trying to do is to just kind of constantly encourage whatever it is that they want to do, and just be like, cool, let's do it, you know. And right now with Luna, we're we're figuring things out one day at a time, especially with the changes that are happening in the world. And like even right now, like the hospital visits, like because of COVID, like normally like myself and Melissa would be in the appointments together, and now we have to adjust ourselves, and it can only be one parent at a time. So like we switch it off when we can, but sometimes when you have to make like big decisions like on the spot, like it's a lot of pressure and all of that. But um, I think that we're trying to really take things one day at a time, and understand that whatever experience comes and whatever happens is that we're learning as much as our kids are learning too.
Okay, Luca, you're an incredible human being. Take us back to 2010. You went to Vancouver and you performed at the Paralympics, the Winter Paralympics. What did that feel like for you being there in that time, everybody watching? It must have, I almost imagine your parents watching you with tears rolling down their eyes, because that was the moment that they probably always hoped you would have, that kind of that to be there and to perform must have just been the icing on the cake of you're an incredible human being, but to be in something as incredible as the Paralympics must have just been the experience of a lifetime. Is that how you
Uh,
would describe it?
oh, absolutely. I mean, to this day, it was like, I still have like flashbacks on like the rush that I felt, because um, we started, like I would start like on the island, like when they introduced me, coming out on the stage, you just feel the vibrations, and like you could feel like, and like because it's an arena, you're wearing ear monitors, like earpieces, and so you've got your music, but you also have the technicians talking to you and cueing you to like 3, 2, 1, go, you know. And the producer of the show like grabbed the walkie-talkie and he goes, Luca, this is your moment, you know. And like as I'm walking out, I'm nervous, like my hands are super sweaty, and like holding the crutches, like I can feel my hands slipping, and I'm like, oh crap, what's gonna happen? Like, what if I screw up right now? You know, like all of these like thoughts. But then I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And it's like you feel like the cold from the arena, but then the warmth from the audience. So it's kind of like, you know, when there's like the sun is hitting you, but then you have like a cold rush of air, but it's like hot and cold. So like all of these like feelings were going in my body like as everything was happening. And the I think the actual dance was like 7 minutes long, and it literally felt like 1 minute. And like the last scene, like I'm getting lifted up, like the stage goes up like 30 feet in the air, and I have my crutch up, and the lights show like a silhouette of me with my crutch like this. And the dance was called One Inspires All. And so basically it starts with me by myself, then age, but then we did a flash mob, and everyone in the audience danced with me, and and then it finishes with me like this. And I just remember like the stage kind of coming down, and the stage comes down, and so you actually walk like under the floor. So when it came down, I just remember screaming like, "Wah!" like that, and just like feeling like such a rush of energy. And like you, like yeah, like I've had since then, I've had a lot of like amazing experiences as well, but that being my first, and also to be representing the world. It's like we're in Canada, um, and Vancouver, and like historically, that Paralympics was the first Paralympics where the media coverage was, I don't know if it was equivalent to the Olympics, but it was the most media coverage the Paralympics ever got. And then that was pretty much the turning point where the Paralympics started getting notoriety, just like the Olympics were getting. And the like I know that Russia for Sochi and Brazil, they looked at Vancouver and they used Vancouver as a model to make sure that the Paralympics would get that same respect that Vancouver gave to the world. And so it was just so amazing to be part of that and represent the world um, with everyone. Yeah.
Incredible, Luca. Where do you see yourself going post COVID? I know that COVID has really put a damper on the business plans and traveling. I know that I can't wait to meet you when you come to Dubai. But you're at home, you're playing dad. This is it. This is your moment. It's Luna's moment, it's Aura's moment. It's time to bond with the family. But when the pandemic is over, where can we expect to see you around the world?
So I'm just changing because I'm noticing the sun being really strong. Sorry. Um, so I've actually started taking acting classes. So I'm very much, it's something I've always wanted to do. I love theater, and I love movies and shows. And one of the things I've noticed is that there's lack of representation of people with disabilities in TV and film. And I think now more, there's starting to become more representation. But I want to be in that. Um, I want to be a part of that because it's something I've always wanted to do. Um, and I'm challenging myself. So like the acting classes that I've been taking, it's the same. The way I describe it right now is that the energy that I had when I first started dancing, I that same motivation to push me to be like, cool, I want to, I'm studying this, you know, and it's fun. So hopefully within the next couple of years, I'll be like in films and in TV.
You
But
just keep
obviously,
you just keep raising the bar there, Luca. You just keep raising it. It's incredible. It is absolutely incredible. I can talk to you forever. I could ask you so many more questions, but we have to bring it to a wrap. Why are you here, Luca? You didn't know me. You didn't know anything about Strong. What made you want to be part of this?
well, I think it's important, like, and you mentioned this before, is that everyone has a story and everyone can relate to each other, uh, in one way or another. And so, like this motto, "No excuses, no limits," that we share, um, I don't share it for like one specific group. You know, I think that anyone can take that message and understand how to interpret it their own way. And you know, you reached out to me over the summer, and I think I was overwhelmed with Luna and everything that I forgot. And then when you reach out to me again, I'm like, cool, yeah, I remember, and I was like, I want to make this happen. And I think that you have an important message to give, and I think it's really just about sharing and learning off of each other. You know, like you said, like if you, when you come back to Montreal, I definitely would love to meet you. Or if I come to Dubai, you know, like and there's that opportunity for us to share our message. You know, and the idea of strong is important because I finish all of my dance classes when I teach. I say we are superstars, and I get my kids to put their hands in the middle and we shout out superstars all together. And I think it's very similar to your philosophy of strong because everyone has a strength within them. Everyone has a talent hidden within them. It's just that often we never take that time to discover what that is. And we don't just, we, you know, whenever we feel that we have something holding us back, we don't recognize that we actually have that strength to overcome those challenges. And I think that it's everyone's story. If me sharing on your platform can help inspire one person, then that already is one thing, you know, and you're already doing that within your platforms with everyone that you're meeting, you know, it's going to touch and inspire another person. And if if we can do that as a society, then I think that that's where the real change comes. You know, I don't think that we should wait for politicians or think that like uh, change is going to happen. It really needs to come within the community and within us, um, and we just need to learn to work together wherever we are. And right now we have that technology to make that happen. So
Incredible. Thank you
yeah.
so much, Luca. What an incredible interview I just had with, I don't even think I can use the adjective incredible because Luca is inspiring. I think that's on a completely different level. Meeting Luca today, especially today, I think it's important that when we talk about real life stories, that we remember that real people, as Luca described, we go through waves of emotion, and it's not one day to the next. It could actually be, as Luca described, throughout the day. So you could be really happy in 1 minute, and then something happens and that changes.